Remember, there's no editing, so you have to restrain
I
yourself.
I can't talk because we're just like.
Wait, so if people...
Like we did any editing
I mean,
before.
you can talk, just maybe better to don't.
Alex got this.
Question, if people chat and ask questions, is it gonna pop up on here, or should I watch it on my phone too? Will I be able to see questions on mine?
You should go see it on there as
Alright,
well.
so I'm
you can
gonna
respond
sit over
there.
here.
Yeah, just leave my phone as it
That'd be
is.
amazing if we get a question.
You see the questions?
That would
It'll be like,
amazing.
be like our parents.
That's fine.
I'll take that.
That would be fun.
What are you guys doing? Get to work.
I mean, realistically, it's just that we probably got questions before YouTube was throttled with all this stuff and downplayed.
Oh, I
because it's
know.
all right. It's all like, if it was actually
We're
just open, yeah. I mean, just like social media used to have a lot of, I'll call it like grassroots, like organic traffic, and then Instagram shut all that down, right? So like you can't really get organic reach anymore. You have to get organic reach plus pay for it. So
Boost.
it's like, yeah, so you have to. It's
You
like
mean
that's the.
do what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Gonna boost this thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're listening, anyone from Instagram, YouTube, we love you. Please don't ban us.
Create a
We
channel
only
to
share
join the
science,
chat.
for God's sake. God, like, hmm?
All right, we're ready to.
Do this podcast. If anyone's live right now watching, this is the setup. We will get into it eventually.
I mean, normally when I see live podcasts or like live YouTube, they'll have a good hour, 2 hours of like lead up, and just like a little.
Yeah.
And one of those
Empty
like,
room
it's like,
sometimes.
yeah, or it'd be like like the screensaver. It's like the modern day. It's like
Oh, yeah.
the modern day use of the screensaver is now going live on social media.
Yeah, right. Who does screensavers anymore?
You don't need it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Does pixel burn-in and all that stuff even exist anymore?
I don't know.
Modern,
I
modern
think
screens.
it probably does on like lower cost TVs. I've seen it sometimes in bars. I don't know if those are just old TVs, like
Yeah.
20 years old, or if it doesn't seem to be,
Cheap stuff.
yeah, it doesn't seem to be as much of a deal.
No.
But I mean, they still do it. TVs still have like Netflix still has a screensaver, right? It goes to like that. So there must be some reason for it.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay.
Netflix does it for to advertise new shows.
And Easter eggs. I love their little all the Easter eggs in their home screen.
Yeah. All right.
When you
but
guys are ready, 20 seconds of silence.
I like that it's only 20 instead of 30.
I mean, it can still be 30. I
We
don't
do
know why I
15?
say
We do
20.
15?
20. I just don't think you can be quiet for 30 seconds.
That's what I'm saying. Get us do 15 seconds. MJ, you got this.
Okay, on your mark, get set.
He's like watching live right now. These bastards.
Wait, I forgot. We didn't even test the mics.
Oh, are these working? Oh,
They work.
sounded like they were working.
Testing.
Test 1, 2. Sounds working. My headset.
We could do. We could set this like this is your mic. This is my mic, and whatever you like, we won't like disassemble it. We can just reduce
It's
the
not
time.
a big deal. I mean, it's a nice thought, but it's probably like next week I'll be like down here and I'll be like, but
Adjust it anyway. And because of things like that, our shitty mics.
it's good. All right, 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds now.
Welcome to the Live Fully with Kratom podcast. I'm Etha co-founder Alexander, and with me is fellow co-founder Victor Chung.
Who has the
morning,
giggles?
sir.
I had the giggles this morning. I just read the topic, that's why I think it's hilarious. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going to be the longest podcast ever.
That's what I was thinking.
Because today we are going to look back at the last 100 episodes.
Starting with one, go.
Let's go.
We guys spent about 5 minutes on every episode.
Wait,
So
wait,
buckle up,
wait,
guys.
but since you said that, I do have, I think, the very first episode.
Oh my
Should
god.
I play it now or should we wait?
All right, well, let's get started.
I guess let's get started. We have Nicole, our producer, in the room
Yes.
as well. So yeah, let's get started.
So this is actually our 100th episode. So big
Amazing.
bus. I never thought we'd get here, honestly. I remember when we were first doing it, I was like, we'll give this a go. It's gonna suck. No one's gonna care. And let it die. And I was always poo-pooing on this thing. Like, anytime we had like a hiccup in the road, I was like, let's just cancel the podcast. Let's just cancel the podcast. Oh, we're getting a little busy. Cancel the podcast. We get more time. And now we're 100.
So you're saying you don't want to be friends with me because our only interaction
I know.
outside of work now is like podcasts.
So,
So
or birthdays.
I got it. I'm picking up on the clue. It takes me 8 years to get around to it, right? I'm picking it up. I'm getting
Yeah,
there.
this is nauseating. Alex, I can't take this or you. No, anyway, yeah. Well, yeah, we can do a better job with that. Like, we always talk about it, and we're just busy. We're just such
You're
different-
the one that has a family and is too busy. So
I know, it's me with the Rugrats and all of that. So, we'll figure it out. As long as we keep on having birthdays, we'll always
Yeah, at
have
least there's we
adventures.
do make some time for a birthday, like at least once a year it seems. So that's
Mhm.
great. Could be nice, could be better. We did more often. I don't know.
Middle of June,
I'm finding new friends that actually hang out.
middle of
Aw.
June. Let's plan a trip.
The middle of June.
Yeah, June 13th, whatever, that week.
I'm gone most of June because I'm traveling to like
Uh-huh, it's
Boston
me,
and
it's
then
me,
going to
it's
the Czech
me.
Republic and then I gotta travel,
Oregon.
going to Oregon
Yosemite.
and then going to Yellowstone.
Oh,
So yeah,
Yellowstone.
there's a lot of travel coming up all of a sudden.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, then,
So we'll make it happen July.
July, all right,
Yes,
fine,
I'm available
July.
that time.
Fine, I'll wait.
You need like more than a month anyways to plan stuff out.
That's true, I really do. Okay, July. It's being recorded, so we know.
Good.
You can always, we can call each other out on it. So anyway,
So
100
100 episodes
episodes.
of our podcast, which has been mostly about teaching about what we know about Kratom, because we also went a lot into entrepreneurship. So as we've kind of gone through these struggles, we kind of brought in some other kind of adjacent topics that we going through that same kind of adjacent struggle with starting a Kratom business, starting any business is hard,
yeah.
and then kind of nuances of Kratom, and then we're learning about Kratom in general, about as a personal consumer, kind of sharing all those stories. So we've
Yeah.
gone a lot of 100 episodes apparently.
Yeah, we definitely lean more on the Kratom side of things and kind of just in general health,
Yep.
talking about nutrition and health. But if you guys want us to talk more about being entrepreneurs and on the business side of things, we gladly will do it. There'll be a lot of complaining, I think. There's successes along the way. I mean, I wouldn't do anything else besides this, so there's a reason. But yeah, if you guys want us to talk about that side of our lives, we'd be more than happy to. Just let us know. Nicole says she has something, the first episode, or is there something you want us to?
Well, I have two things. I do have the very first episode, but then also we have a compilation of past episodes that MJ put together for us. So I think it'd be fun to maybe watch both.
Okay.
We don't have to watch all of it.
Hell, it's like 2 hours.
But I
Let's just
do.
sit here, get some popcorn,
But I came
relax.
across this one. We just have to watch because it is.
Okay. But first, before you even show it,
Yeah.
do you even remember the first episode?
The first episode? No.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know. Was it in our room or in the?
It was probably in Miralani because that's where we first did like the desk back to back and kind of just like, turn our chairs to each other, but like a table in between. Like we did that like the first time. That's what I remember doing first at
So
least.
ghetto.
And so
We had that whiteboard. We would write, messages or whatever. I had my sister come in and Christina would draw a picture for us.
Oh,
remember
so
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved out into the lobby area of our office, and then you constructed that background, which we still have
I
up.
went to El Cajon after we moved to El Cajon.
Was that the next? Oh, that's right. That's the next
Yeah,
office.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we have multiple. So I don't know. We'll see what
Mm-hmm.
Nicole is showing us. So it'd either be El Cajon or Miralani.
It has the most views of all of our podcasts, so almost 8,000 views.
It's the oldest.
And here
It's
it
the oldest,
is.
Yeah, right. Alright, so is it? Oh god. Oh, this one.
You saw that sign.
Yeah, that sign, so if you guys watched the first episode, that sign is now in our Escondido retail store.
Wow.
It looks nice though. It shows up nice on the camera.
Yeah, it's a good sign. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a good location for it.
You look so different.
You both do.
With hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at your little side bang situation.
Side
What's a
bang?
side bang?
He's got like the side sweep,
Oh.
like
Oh yeah. And we both have a lot more hair. That's what it is.
Alex, do you have
Wait,
red hair
I had
naturally? Brown.
okay. Just brown.
Yeah. So
Just the
this is
lighting.
before you started shaving your head and
Best kratom ever.
you had facial hair too. Wow.
It was a weird time back then.
You
It's
make it
fine.
now.
It's fine. It was a weird time.
It's a weird time. It was a different look. It's fine. I liked it.
I want to turn the
I
volume
think
up.
one person that liked it, I guess.
Mm.
I'm nervous that it might kick the mics out.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's gonna sound bad anyway. All right, so
But yes, there we go.
so what were we doing with this? This was here we go. Oh my
Was
god,
this-
yeah. This is you demonstrating how to make
A tablet. Okay, so that was our first release, was talking about taking kratom tablets. So yeah, we're definitely a little ways into consuming kratom for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is months in. This is like half a year in.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we already started the company and everything. It took us probably 7 or 8 months before we decided to actually start the company from our first kind of experiences with kratom. We were both running a different business. We had a mobile accessories business called Utomic.
I do see my phone was on the desk back there with the nice bumpies on it, red bumpies.
Yeah.
That was the iPhone 7 based on the black color, because that's the only black one I had. I think.
iPhone 7. What are we on now?
16. It's crazy, yeah.
16, jeez.
But oddly enough, not too much different than iPhone 7 as far as
Yeah.
iPhone 7 is like, it's kind of the same one as the iPhone SE still. The one that's like the nice all aluminum rounded one.
Mhm.
It's like, that was the iPhone 7. It was still like a. It was a really
It's so
nice
good. They're
thin
still
version.
making
Yeah.
it today.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, we were at this point. I think we're still running both companies. We hadn't sold the company yet. We were still doing Utomic. Utomic's still around, by the way, guys. So if you need the best minimalist case, the caseless case, utomic.com, utomic.com. We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah.
So did you
so-
guys actually make the first kratom tablets like this, like one by hand, or this was just an
No.
example?
Yeah, so
That would be
this
horrible.
is, I mean, they were made one by one, but on a special machine that presses one tablet at a time. And so what Nicole was referencing in the video is I had a kind of a makeshift die and punch setup. So a die is like just a circular round tube that you pour kratom powder into it. And then a punch, like a cylinder, can go in that hole and press on it. And that just presses all the powder together in that cylinder shape. That is how kratom tablets are made on a machine, just because it's much faster, much higher pressure. But in the first video, we were just showing how it's possible to press kratom into a tablet, just with kind of like a basic demonstration to show like,
Mhm.
oh, this is 100% kratom leaf, no binders, no fillers, no additives, and it kind of works. So that was kind of the start. That was the start of how we got the idea, or kind of confirmed the idea. And that's like the most common engineering protocol, is how can I test something as cheap as possible? So can I just find a piece of wood, a hammer, a nail, and kind of like get things together? Like, oh, it kind of works. Okay, then invest a little bit more in some more tooling, figure it out, kind of kept increasing the size of the machine that we used for all this.
Yeah, the reason why we made this video was in the beginning, I don't know if you remember, so many folks doubted that we
That we
could
did
even make a tablet.
I remember
out of
that.
kratom.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
I was
what
like,
we're trying to prove
it's
people.
not
like,
that difficult. I was like, really, guys? Like, okay, like here it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was like,
Everyone was just doing powder and capsules. That's all existed. There were no extracts, there were no drinks, none of that stuff yet.
yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah, they were super hateful. I'm like,
Yeah, you guys are lying, you're using binders, and there's no way you can press a tablet. I'm like, "What? We didn't invent the tablet. Like,
microcrystalline cellulose. It's like most Tylenols, most tablets that are kind of the generic over-the-counter, that are that hard white tablet,
Mm.
are just microcrystalline cellulose, which cellulose is the main ingredient of trees and leaves, so it kind of makes sense that we could press a whole leaf into a tablet pretty easily.
Yeah, and so still an amazing invention to this day. It's the keystone of our business and why people love us over
Yeah.
the plethora of.
I mean, now
Kratom
there is
businesses out there.
definitely any operation, so anything can seem simple, but if you have to do it at some scale, at some point that scale becomes difficult, no matter how simple it is. I mean, I remember we ran into this issue with our previous company, Utomic or Bumpy's, which was a mobile accessories company, so we had a lot of packaging to deal with. And sometimes, I would create a packaging design, like, oh, you just gotta just fold this piece of paper, fold this piece of paper, and put them together, and like, okay, great, it's easy.
Yes.
But if you have to do it 10,000 times a day, that becomes difficult, or 100,000 times a day. At some point, that number just becomes difficult. You can just fold in a piece of paper, it can become difficult.
Yeah.
And so that's where, yes, the tableting can be easy or possible, but now doing it a million times a day consistently and repeatedly and having it go into packaging, at some point just that becomes difficult.
Yeah. You remember that first punch?
Mhm.
First machine.
We still have that one, yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about the hand cranky one or the actual automatic one has its own cage?
I mean, yeah, that was like the second one, I think.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
the
about
first
the
one
second
was the white one, was
Yeah.
the open one, yeah, that was the one. I mean, I discovered that when it smacked my hand incredibly hard, and I was on a bunch of Kratom, it didn't swell up, so that's how I learned that Kratom is anti-inflammatory, was because of this super dangerous machine.
Yeah.
I almost took my hand off, cool.
Yeah.
But,
I was
you
blind.
learn from it, you learn from it.
On the second machine, we left, they put like the plexiglass guard rails on the actual punch. It was a single punch for that machine. And it would get jammed. And so I was in there with me and Bert were in there with like a stick your way.
Yeah, I was the first time I went on like vacation, and I come back and there's literally like holes in the machine that was like, these holes were not here to begin with. I don't know what
We had
happened.
orders to go out.
But,
We didn't have an SOP yet, so we
And
did
that's why Alex has never gone on vacation since.
No,
I'm kidding.
except for June,
I'm
all
kidding.
of June apparently. Yeah, so I remember Bert and I going and the thing snapped, smashed me in the face, but thankfully I had my glasses on and it like broke my, scratched my glasses instead of blinding me in an eye. I was like, what have we got ourselves into? But yeah.
that would be one of the reasons you were shortly banned from production thereafter.
I know,
Like,
no
you
more production.
cannot go there ever.
So yeah, wow, that was fun to see that one.
So was that first video like kind of what kicked off you guys starting to do the next 99 episodes, or like why did you guys want to start the podcast?
Mainly just to get information out, because it was, I mean, as Victor alluded to, we were just saying, hey, here's these tablets we made, here's how we did it, and people were super doubtful. And then just that kind of doubt or skepticism around Kratom in general was a lot due to kind of where kind of Kratom came from, as far as being this gray market or kind of unregulated area, because it was also sold a lot in like smoke shops or head shops, which is kind of associated with other kind of, I don't know, it's good to be skeptical of anything you buy in those kind of shops that aren't really labeled properly. Kratom was the same way back then. It really wasn't tested or labeled. And so all sorts of, potential flags for people to be like, I don't know if I trust that. So that kind of skepticism was around the industry, and that was part of what we thought we could add to it, was being transparent and open. It is the research we have. This is the experiments we're doing. This is our own personal journey, because at the time we were just providing also a lot of our own personal experience, because some of it we would research or look at the, say, common knowledge on like open forums about Kratom, and we would test it. And some were like, well, that's not true. Like, oh, that is true. And so we kind of helped just bring that objective facts around it was a big reason we wanted to start it.
Yeah, I was tired. Our marketing team was tired of going on Reddit and whatever platform, just answering the same questions over and over again. And we're like, why don't we just record a video on this and answer the question, and from now on, just send them a link. It just makes it easy to. So part of it was like just customer service and letting people know who we are. So there's a bit of marketing too.
I mean, I think it was also because we heard about Kratom on a podcast. I mean, this was,
Mhm.
I mean, Joe Rogan's podcast way back then was just starting off. It wasn't it was only popular, I would say, with more of a niche market at the time, more like MMA fighters. And that's why you kind of started, like, that's why I started listening to it, was because you listened to it. And it was kind of a very small niche that slowly started expanding like crazy.
Yeah.
But because we heard about Kratom on a podcast, and I was able to hear, a long format, say 1.5, 2 hours about Kratom, we had much more better understanding of it and willing to keep investigating and try it ourselves. So we thought, well, okay, if that worked on us, then we can kind of do the same or provide that information.
And it also, I mean, we were joking about it earlier, but it really was a chance for you and I just to catch up. And
we did a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, to like the listeners' chagrin, they didn't. It was like, get to the topic, guys. You were just broing out and talking, and because it was like the few times where we weren't talking about just work, and we're just catching up, and it was nice just to do that. But now the podcast just is like, let's get into the topic. Let's spend like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
How are you? Good. Cool. All right, I'm good. Let's go. For you guys, that's why we do that. We no longer chit chat. So yeah, that's why we started it, and it's evolved since. We plan on we're always trying to improve. I mean, that's the life of an entrepreneur. You're always looking for ways to improve, or at least you should be. So there's things that we're doing, like today, going live. It's been years. We went live early on, and it was easier back then to do things like go live. Today, there's just more like shadow bans, restrictions on Kratom. Like when we first started this company, we were able to advertise on Facebook. We were able to post on Instagram without any restrictions, as long as we kind of followed some basic rules that everyone follows. And now, I mean, our Instagram account was literally shut down on Monday with no explanation, full on just gone for 24 hours. And we had to do an appeal, which is a ridiculous appeal process, by the way. There isn't like you get to state your case or anything. They didn't like point to a specific thing you did wrong and then which you can then reply to. That would be the appropriate communication.
Normal practice. Yeah.
It said it was just like, you violated community standards. I'm not going to point out which ones, even though it's a long document. And you can press this button to say you want to appeal or not, and then we'll decide. So we press the button, and then they said, we'll send it to your email. Didn't get an email about it. And then magically, thankfully, 6 hours later, our profile is back. And that was that. We get flooded with emails from people going like, what happened? What was going on? And the team was, everything was kind of down because we do a lot through Instagram. And and that can happen. And today we have restrictions. We can't go live on Instagram. We can't go live on Facebook anymore, which is what we used to do early on in the podcast. So that's why we're on YouTube now. And hopefully, fingers crossed, YouTube doesn't shut us down or ban us as well. So we'll see. We might have to go to a different platform, a more free speech platform.
So yeah, but I mean, some important industry updates. There is an issue in Louisiana still, and so this is a ban bill that has gone through the state Senate and now is going to the state House of Representatives. So American Kratom Association is asking everyone to email and call their representatives as much as possible. I mean, starting now.
Yeah.
So today would be great.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, well, I don't live in Louisiana, then why would I reach out? Do I have a voice at all? The AKA has a link, and I responded.
Yeah.
I don't live in Louisiana, but I put my story down.
I have family there, so I travel, so it's relevant to me in that case.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's
That's
better.
what I said. I was born in Louisiana, so I was like, this is my home, and I'm ashamed at the fact that you guys are, doing this to where I'm from. Yeah, anybody, just share your story. You don't have to be from Louisiana. It helps. If you're from Louisiana, you need to do it. And then select your representative, go through that process. It takes a second, but actually select your representative so that message goes to them and they know an actual constituent, one of the people they represent has an issue and they'll listen to it.
So what happens if, not enough people vote or tell their story? What is it? Kratom's just completely, like, you're not allowed to buy it, sell it?
Correct, yeah. It will
It's
be
not
a
allowed.
scheduled substance based on state law in Louisiana, and so it'll be 100% illegal.
Yeah. Not only fine, but also.
That's gonna start setting a precedent for other states. There's gonna keep using that as an excuse, because like we kind of saw that before. Remember in 2016, where certain articles would try to say, well, these states already banned kratom, so you should ban it too. It's like, well, but what's the science say? Like, just because a state bought into misinformation doesn't mean you continue that.
Yeah,
Show me the research, and that was the reason that the research and the science does not support a kratom ban. If anything, that's gonna harm the people in Louisiana, because it's gonna basically cause a black market, right? So it's gonna be more expensive, it's gonna be adulterated, it's gonna push people to other kind of more concentrated forms. That's the only thing prohibition ever does, is force substances into a more concentrated, potent form that can be essentially smuggled and transported easier, which then it's unregulated, untested, even worse off. And so now people are gonna start having to deal with that issue, which is, it's not gonna be a positive outcome for
Not at all.
anybody.
So what's the alternative?
The ask is that instead of implementing a ban, that the legislators adopt a American Kratom Association Kratom Consumer Protection Act that implements basic regulation over kratom. So we've already seen this passed in 16 other states now. That does have an impact, where it does allow regulators to remove products from the marketplace that are not compliant. The simple regulation enforces that companies label kratom as kratom. They cannot adulterate it with other substances. They can also not alter the alkaloid profile, make it synthetic or semi-synthetic, and so it helps on kind of some of that 7-OH potential issues. So yeah, the Kratom Consumer Protection Act is just a basic set of regulation that includes also age restriction. So kratom is a very powerful and safely consumed plant, and so, but let's be transparent about what it actually is and give people the access to safe, tested kratom that we all kind of deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amen. All right, good update. Oh, I added this note, if you want to talk about it now, maybe next week. I know as you said, you're traveling in June. One of those trips includes a trip to the Czech Republic. Is it Czech Republic, right?
Yeah, Prague in the Czech Republic.
Yes, okay. What is it about? Is it a conference of some kind?
Yes, there is a conference. So the Czech Republic is part of the European Union, and they're the first country that has started to implement regulations on what they're calling psychoactive substances. So this would be botanicals that have some profound effect or that people are consuming. So everything from like kava, kratom, I think cannabis falls into that for them.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I mean, there's a lot of botanicals. So we know from the 8-factor analysis that kratom is very similar to the addiction profile of nutmeg, chamomile, St. John's wort. So there's a lot of supplements that are botanical based or kind of food based, that if you consume them, they have a pharmacokinetic effect in our body, just that are commonly available.
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine is a good example that should be more, or is, I mean, it is regulated, but it's not necessarily looked at always as a drug or psychoactive effect, but caffeine very much is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what the EU is doing through the Czech Republic, the first country, they're really looking at these kind of uncategorized botanical supplements and kind of food-like products that aren't quite regulated in the EU as a food, but then they're not a full drug because they're not gone through full clinical trials. They're also not synthetics. They're not really that harmful as drugs. So they kind of sit in this in-between category. And that's the interesting part, is that Czech Republic has such a fluid government in a lot of ways. So they can change from one party to the next, and they can really implement a lot of changes. And it kind of becomes a good, almost experiment in some ways. You can kind of see how it reacts, and other countries can look to them and see what they're doing. And so there is a conference going on around kratom, and they asked me to be on a panel to basically bring in my experience as a consumer and then a business leader around the last 8 years as kratom has really gone through these changes.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of what experience I can bring into that. So we'll see. It's a panel discussion, so I'll see kind of what questions come up. But
Okay.
And there's
Have they given you any preview of what questions they want you to cover, or is this just
no,
blind?
I mean, it's mainly just trying to answer the question how to safely integrate kratom into society, like balancing the traditional use as well as current regulations. So that,
Okay.
that really hits to, okay, a lot of these substances have been around for a very long time, they're easily accessible. And there's also regulation that, proper regulation is really helpful for consumers, right? So like, I know that I can buy my Kratom that's lab tested, it's been tested for heavy metals, contaminants like Salmonella, E. coli. But at the same time, it's also possible to over-regulate. So a lot of what we see in California with cannabis is that a lot of it is almost over-regulated, which makes it super expensive, really highly taxed. And when that happens, it also kind of then drives a gray market or a black market, because it's just, there's just too much testing, too much regulation on it.
As a business
Whereas-
owner, for me to follow these regulations, it harms my business,
Yeah.
harms the bottom line.
Yeah.
So is there a different way of doing it? Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
so I mean, there's always gonna be
I'm
opportunities
incentivized
that
to
we
go
do.
a different route, right? You don't want that. You want to make it
Yeah.
so businesses follow the regulations and consumers benefit.
Right, and when regulation is done properly, it can provide the most safe access to products while also providing a competitive marketplace that keeps prices very low or very value driven for the end consumer. And that's kind of the best of both worlds. So that way you have companies innovating on offering more value, lower prices, better quality, that side, without kind of, so when we get into these monopolies or duopolies or kind of super restricted markets, that all of a sudden companies can make
Yeah.
huge profits, not really worry about innovating, keeping up with consumer demand. They kind of just make a lot of their money
Yeah.
through that restricted marketplace due to overregulation.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the criticism that the KCPA, the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, is too simple, is the regulation is too limited?
I mean, I guess I would ask, well, like, why? I mean, show me the reason it's too limited.
Mhm.
Can you have more data to show a reason how it's too limited?
Yeah.
Versus, because I mean, the only group or only people I know making that argument are just trying to take out competition, and so much so that they have kind of backtracked a little bit on their argument because it's been super obvious that they were limiting to one product, and now they've kind of walked back some of their arguments, but their logic is still fuzzy on why, and so that's where it's just that they've not really been transparent or truly open about it, and so we can kind of see that there's some issues with trying to kind of promote one company brand, one product, while then ignoring actual like criticisms of their own kind of mixed product. So anytime we have multiple products mixed together, there's always kind of room for contraindications. And I mean, and it's not only in Kratom. I mean, there's a lot of supplements, even drugs and pharmaceutical companies don't mix their own drugs together, even though most people are taking like on an average, 8 drugs or something near above 50 in the United States.
Mhm.
So it's a very well-known just problem, even though a lot of people don't want to admit to it for beneficial economic reasons.
Guys, I have to interrupt because we have our first, comment or chat.
Okay, cool.
Can I read
Thanks,
it?
guys.
I'm
Go
so
ahead.
excited. It says, my first order of Etha White tabs comes today. I have been using Headshot Kratom powder for years and look forward to a switch to reputable, clean Kratom.
Wow, that's great. Oh, you know, whenever I hear this, I get really excited for the person. You know, like, we're gonna change their lives. I just remember, and I know things have changed in the industry. The industry itself has gotten more reputable. The products are more clean, they're more tested. But let's be
Half the
honest,
industry.
exactly, let's be honest. In smoke shops, there's still tons of variability in potency. There's some, they're not all falling even the KCPA, for example. Not properly testing, not thoroughly testing, not providing consistent products. And so you get all this all over the place, and then you start blaming. I remember blaming myself for, I'm trying to scratch my head, damn things in the way. I remember thinking it's me when I would take some Kratom and it would work, and then I would take the same Kratom from the same vendor and get a different experience. And I was like, well, it must be me. I'm doing something wrong, or something's happening with me, which can be the case. But then what we learned was, more often than not, it was the product itself had such wild swings in their alkaloid testing. We would test it to be 1% itrogynine, and then we would take that, the next batch would come in, and we were testing for ourselves, and it's like, this has 0.3. We're like, but it's Red Dragon, or what the heck it was called, the name's Elephant Ear or whatever, Kratom. I ordered the exact same thing, but why am the test results are different? So I know, like, this person, who, if you're still listening, you don't have to worry about that with Etha. You know, you have that experience, and you're gonna have a similar experience each time, and you got the tablets. Oh, if you're using powders before, you're gonna love the tablets. So I'm really excited for them. Thanks for sharing. Awesome. What else are we gonna talk about? Molecular hydrogen. Have you been doing it every day?
Mostly. Once, maybe more like once a day so far.
All right.
Couple times, twice a day.
We promised we would take it for, so last week on the podcast, we said we would start taking the molecular hydrogen tabs.
I mean, but I don't notice a difference or how I
Well,
would.
that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you. So like, it's been a week, we've both been taking it. What are your results? So that's your results. You don't notice anything? 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 Nothing?
I mean,
I have.
okay, cool.
Not in positive way.
Oh, what do you notice?
I would say, so my experience has been, both Lisa and I have used it in the morning, and when we do it on an empty stomach, it like upsets my stomach. I get kind of like,
Wow, okay.
I don't feel so good, you know, like not full on stomach ache, but it's just I feel uncomfortable. And Lisa had the same thing.
Wow, alright.
I don't like the fact that it fizzles and it's a flat liquid. Like my brain goes, it should be carbonated because I see bubbles, and then I drink and it's flat. It just messes with me. It is what it is. But I hate the fact that I'm getting like stomach aches from it. So I have to take it on food, which is weird.
Huh.
I don't know, have you had that same experience?
Not that I really noticed, but I also take, I take a lot of stuff. I mean, like in the morning, on an empty stomach, I'll take like fish oil, vitamin D, Tongkat Ali, maybe like TMG. I also then take like methylene blue, and then I'll take a bunch of kratom sometimes. Like
You do that
day,
with
yes
the
or no.
green thing too, don't you? You're not doing that?
Sometimes. I've not been as super dedicated to that side, so it's like, so I don't know. It's like I also take so much stuff that I just kind of like,
Your system's
I'm just
used to
doing
it.
it, go.
Yeah.
Like,
You got like a little
tummy
tired
ache,
stomach.
tummy ache, come on.
Yeah, this means it's working.
Yeah,
That's what this means.
So yeah, I'm very much on that side. I mean, I know some people. I mean, I definitely have friends who have been very sensitive to taking kratom on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And so I know they'll have to take it with food where, and this is like, person will take like 2 of our tablets and get like sensitive, right? And I'm taking 16 tabs in empty stomach. I'm like, that is great. So I'm not a good judge of that. Basically, what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've not noticed that, but doesn't mean anything. But
Yeah. So that's and then in terms of,
I would like to do a hydrogen bath. Just given like the description, because like, even Gary Brecka, when he talks about it, it's like, okay, yes, I had this person come in who had a bunch of pain, inflammation. They sat in my bathtub, which has a hydrogen generator bubbling a significant amount through the skin. And then that night they went home, slept great, they woke up and didn't have
Less
the
pain.
Yeah. So he doesn't really talk about, oh, you take this one tablet and you're gonna feel that dramatic effect. So that's
I wonder how
hard to
long,
tell.
did he mention at all, like, on average, how long you have to
I don't
take this
think
before you
so.
start to get noticeable effects?
I don't think
I
so.
don't remember either.
There's
I
not.
was
don't-
halfway listening to the podcast too.
And that is that is the direction of what we want the FDA to be doing with these kind of marketing claims about any product, right? So ideally, if this was, what would be nice is that if it didn't cost so much to take a drug through the FDA, new drug application process, then we could get a lot more learning about all sorts of, whether it's surgeries, products, even food, would be great to go through that kind of rigor of a, double-blind, placebo-controlled study would tell us that, okay, yes, if you take this tablet, it would take you X number of weeks before you start seeing a benefit, and this would be the percentage of benefit you would kind of see. So like that direction of what the FDA should be doing is actually good, it's what we want. It's just that it's been really turned more into a barrier to companies innovating. It's turned into a barrier of even doctors say recommending nutrition and exercise because pharmaceutical companies don't make money on that. So the only thing that they currently pay for in tests are very expensive pharmaceuticals. So we're kind of in this weird loop of, yes, I want that clinical trial. I want the FDA to help provide, say, truth in labeling. That's really what they're meant to be doing, is that any kind of claim or suggestion or even like hinting at like, hey, you should take this, like drink water, it's gonna be good for you. There should be some kind of rigor to it. It's just unfortunate the system is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, which
Yeah.
is not uncommon either. I mean, I've been going through patents for a long time. The patent system is supposed to be, we want to take trade secrets out of this, secret vault of companies and put it out into the public domain. And then, because then ideally,
And we
after a
incentivize
certain
it to
number of
it.
years, then the public gets that information. You can build on top of it, make it better and better. But in reality, the patent system is really doing the opposite. It's a use of the weapon to keep people from innovating, holding industries back, holding innovators back. And it's really kind of a backward system now that's not really helpful. So it's
And
there's a lot of
enforce
issues.
and just, yeah,
Yep.
it's all over the place.
There's all sorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of good concepts we're trying to go through as humans and regulation in general, but it's difficult. It's really difficult.
It's just so hard to get the answer, especially now where, because we, like, all the things that you just said, you go, so what do? As a consumer, you go on, listen to podcasts like we do, try to do our own independent research, watch a bunch of influencers, but there's so many of these, much like ourselves,
Well,
giving
so I would say-
colleges. And it's hard to figure out what's
100%.
truth and not, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I realize I rely on is essentially self-experimentation, where I try to build it myself, or I consume it and try to understand how it's working for me. And that's where I think I'm really fascinated to see as AI develops.
I was
I
about
think
to say.
there's only gonna be, I think, an amazing leap once the humanoid robots can start doing kind of self-experiments. So like once you see, right? Like, because like as an AI system,
Yeah, you take the risk.
Yeah, right,
AI
yeah.
bot, human bot thing.
I mean, AI has just been fed with a bunch of data that's correct and incorrect. So AI is trying to suss through that same stuff. But once AI can actually start having a physical body and do its own experimentation and then give a feedback loop to what information is correct and not correct,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a massive kind of circular correction cycle. It's going to make some really cool advancements.
Yeah. Wow. I just had a picture of it, like an iRobot.
Just
But
sitting in the lab, like those
Yeah.
like pouring like
figuring out
drinking
LPs,
Kratom.
LP50s all over the place. Wow, that robot has to do 2 pounds of Kratom today. Good luck. Good luck, robot. Yeah. Wow. And that is the future. That will be the future.
It's going to be interesting. It's
All
coming
right.
way faster than people think.
So, are you going to continue doing the hydrogen tabs?
I mean, I'll do the last of the packet that I have, and I'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm much more interested from the research just to explore the actual like bathing
Yeah.
opportunities. Like, can I find a hydrogen generator, put that into a bathtub, and find a way to actually get an appropriate dose?
Yeah.
Because it kind of like, I mean, I remember when we first started taking Kratom and going through all the research and understanding, one of the like epiphanies that I personally had was, okay, if I take, after doing the research of Kratom, when I first kind of saw it, it was, oh, maybe I take 2 capsules or I take a certain amount of plant material. And that was based on, the preconditioning of whether it's Tylenol, Advil, taking 2 tablets, 2 capsules, or even say other supplements in general. Typically, any kind of supplement you take will be like, oh, here's 1 500 milligram capsule, or here's 2, here's a very small amount, and that kind of got repeated too. Well, if I have chamomile tea, mint tea, or any other kind of supplement or herbal tea, it's a tiny, very small packet. There's almost like a 0.5 milligram to maybe 3/4, like 750 milligrams in there. So my conditioning for how much botanicals to take was kind of based on this small amount.
Yeah,
But only after doing the research was like, oh, I actually have to take sometimes 2.5 or maybe even 5 grams of Kratom to get a noticeable effect, and it's amazing at that point. So my epiphany was like, okay, well, what other natural compounds are out there that could have this amazing, profound effect, but I'm just taking such a tiny dose? This 20 milligrams of whatever supplement in this one multivitamin, maybe that's just a tiny amount, and what I actually need is 10 times that amount, and then I would get this benefit that I'm really seeking. So same thing with hydrogen water. Maybe it's just we're this tiny little tablet of a few million parts per. It's like,
that is the recommended dose. So it
and that's
needs
the
to do
that's
something,
the
right?
Yeah.
If it needs to be more, make them stronger, make them bigger. I don't know, like make me have to take them more often.
Yeah.
Like do the research for me, company. Anyway, that's, I think the same with when you're doing AG1, you aren't doing AG1, you're doing like a competitive.
An alternative, yes.
Yeah. I just see this
I just like-
laundry list of stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if that's enough of any. I mean, I Googled a couple, I'm like, that's not enough for that. That's not enough for that one. Like
Nope.
in general,
Nope.
I don't know, I'm using AI, so I could be,
Yeah.
could be wrong.
I mean, I guess the other hard part is the because like the nutrition facts try to help us as
Mhm.
far as recommending the percent of daily value recommended. However, that daily recommended percentage is often very low depending on personal goals, right? If I'm trying to, I don't know, vitamin C is a good example, that the daily recommended amount is generally very low, but there's a lot of personal stories of people and some research out there of people taking much higher doses of vitamin C
Mhm.
and seeing some massive benefits to
Yeah.
the immune system or helping kind of, correct a sickness.
Mhm.
And yet, so you never really kind of know based on that recommended value even, right? So
Yeah,
there is
you're right.
that-
Yeah, what's
it's
your
a
use
hard-
case? You know, are you taking this as a daily thing or
Mhm.
as a, a response to
Yes.
some trauma of some kind? You're sick. You know, you need people take shots even just of vitamin C. I mean, and the emergency stuff is like,
Nothing.
yeah,
There's not enough of it.
yeah, which is hilarious to me. Like, you're okay. Go the other way. Anyway, all right. Oh, one more thing we wanted to announce as part of. Is that what's going on the screen? You're looking at the
Only
screen.
one more thing?
Oh, I think we're just just the last one. I think it's just the last thing.
Okay.
Is there more? Is there more you want us
Well,
to
there's
do?
that other video, I don't know if you guys wanted to watch it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, without the video, the audio, it kind of, pointless, but
Yeah, go. Let's see.
it's just kind of fun to see.
Yeah, let's see it.
See all your hairdos throughout the years.
Oh, what the? Why am I doing a dance? Oh my God, are you guys gonna splice this into the episode?
Yeah.
Of course. Okay, so now this is now second office. So first one, the tablet one was Miralani. This is now
This is
El
El
Cajon.
Cajon, yep.
Yeah, this is El Cajon.
Mhm.
So if you guys are watching this, watching the episode, we'll spice whatever we're watching in so you guys can see. But what you're seeing in the background, tell us about it. You made that.
Yeah, I made it actually the previous office, so it's basically recycled pallet wood into like a decorative wall type
Thing.
ornament. I don't know. Yeah, it's basically, it's probably 10 feet tall and
That's
probably,
huge.
I don't know, 15 feet wide. But it was a bunch of pallets that I disassembled, cut up into little boards. And
There's Victor's side part again.
I love that side part. Now you have no more facial hair.
Yep.
But you have hair on top still.
that was pretty short, kind of.
I think didn't that start with the wall decor? Didn't it start with us just wanting to hang up some mugs or something? I think that's all we wanted was like, hey, we need a place to put our mugs, and you're like, okay, I'll build this thing, and it became like this big project of.
Because we had giant, because that was the one, like we had one big open area with like 20-foot ceilings, 30-foot ceilings, so it was kind of this big area.
Yeah, you're like, why not?
I want something like look at, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So like literally the request was like, we have 5 mugs we want to put up, and you built this whole thing. That's why there's hooks.
That's why
There's
there's
5. Yeah, and then
Mission accomplished.
You did it. You did it. But we put Kratom instead. We're hanging a Kratom bag. That's so
So
famous.
let's see.
By the way, that Kratom bag is here. So it just I knew we'd kind of go through some history today, but
That's the
we've
first
shown this.
package.
That is literally one of the first packages. Just messing with the camera. This is one of our first packages of Kratom. We didn't have it individual.
Who does a 14-minute montage? This is 2020, not 1980.
No,
This is-
no, it's
because no
true.
one has attention span for this. I don't even have attention span for this. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. 14-minute montage. It's gotta be 14-second montage. Then we can if you
Wait,
watch
I'm
it.
touching you. Why am I touching you? I just stroked your shoulder for no reason. Yeah,
That's why we don't do a lot of.
Yeah, this is what I don't do a lot. I love the camera side of this dude. This is hilarious.
Do you guys remember some of your favorite episodes, like favorite podcast episodes, like interesting topics that you've talked about in the past 100 that you've done?
I remember ones I didn't like.
You know what that I
Yeah, I mean-
remember that I really liked? That where we tested it with different,
Yeah, I was gonna say taste testing.
Yeah,
was
the
always
taste
most fun,
testing.
right?
Yeah.
to see how to mask the bitter flavor of Kratom. That was
Let's
pretty
do
cool.
that again. If you guys want, so we were testing out common ways people consume Kratom, Kratom powder. And so it was like with in a smoothie, with orange juice, with yogurt, all kinds of mixes. Unfortunately, at that time we weren't doing video yet, so you just got to hear us grimacing and making sounds and stuff. I know you and I have done it too, maybe live as well too. But the most recent one was with Amanda. We were, and again, no video. So I'd say we do it again, this time that video, and
Sure.
be fun. Double our dose. And now we're finally in this office. Anyway.
Anyway, good times.
Good times. Good times. You want to keep on going with this podcast?
I think we're at time actually.
Another 100?
How long did that take? 5 years?
That took, I don't know.
We get through it fast.
No, we're
That's
doing
what
one a
we do.
week now, so.
Do 2 a week. No.
We sometimes we would do like several in the same day and then break it up. There was kind of that mentality at one point where we were doing like 3 episodes in a row.
Oh
And
yeah,
then, like breaking it up.
yeah. I don't know. I think we're gonna try to do some more live stuff if this works out. And
Probably a lot. I mean, ideally, it would be nice if we had more interaction, just questions,
Mhm.
because we don't have a nice, say, script or like, we're going down a certain cadence and we're kind of more able to kind of like answer questions and go off the cuff. It seems to be better for us. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I would like to do it if there's more questions and more interaction. Would be amazing.
Yeah, that's why I think the live would be nice. People just posting
Mhm.
questions to us, and
Hopefully, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, we're not afraid to respond. And our response might be, I don't know. Anyway, all right. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention. Right? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So because we're doing this look back and it's our 100th episode, we have a bit of a challenge for you guys, or request for you guys, an opportunity maybe. We did a post on social media, so on IG, Facebook, and X. It's called the Because of Etha post. It's sticky on Facebook and IG maybe, so it's on the top. You'll see it. Look for the picture of like the Etha team and of Alex and I at one of our greenhouses, and we share what Etha Kratom has meant to us. And so we're asking you guys to also respond and share your experience. Great if it's Etha Kratom related. If it's just Kratom related, that's great too. So just share your Kratom story there and how Kratom has impacted your life in one way or the other. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna select one. I don't know if we want to do it randomly. I don't know. Nicole will pick one, and that person will get $100 in store credit. $100 for 100th episode, and we'll announce it next week. So
Cool.
So go out there, go to the social media, follow us if you can, please. We appreciate that. Respond to that post, and we'll pick a winner.
Cool.
All right, guys. All right, if you guys have found this enlightening at all, or even entertaining, we'll take that. We appreciate it if you support the show by going to ethanaturals.com for all your creative needs. If you have any questions, like Alex said, we love questions, and so please send it to us, podcast@ethanaturals.com, or go onto our live feed or leave a comment on one of our pages. We'll make sure to include it in one of our episodes. All right. We'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Victor.
I'm Alexander.
And I'm Nicole.
As always,
Live
fully. Boom. We are done.
Still fine though.
Yep. Don't say anything silly.